Now, Nelson Mandela Bay University has announced that it will establish the 10th medical school in the country. The medical school will be located at its Missionvale Campus in Port Elizabeth. The campus is in proximity to Dora Nginza Hospital and a number of clinics. Now, the institution has received the go-ahead from the South African Qualifications Authority to offer the Bachelor of Medicine and Bachelor of Surgery qualification. Prof. Fikile Nomvete, Director of the Medical Program at the Nelson Mandela University, joins us now to speak about the process involved in building the new medical school. Prof. Nomvete, good evening and thank you for your time on News at Prime.
Good evening, sir, and good evening to all your viewers. And thank you for this opportunity to share some information around our new medical school. Thank you.
How important and how significant is this accreditation?
Well, the accreditation has been a process. To establish a medical school, you have to go through kind of three authority bodies or authorities, as it were. And so the most important is usually the Health Professions Council of South Africa, and we had this visit last year. And then the second one would be the Council on Higher Education, which we also had a visit on. And then lastly is the South African Qualifications Authority body. So it's a process, and we've had to go through this process over the past year. And of course, all the work has been done before this this one year. Now, it's very important to be accredited by all these various authorities because they play different roles in establishing a medical school, and they enforce, or rather they endorse, credibility of the medical school, as it were. And it's very important then that all the three authorities have endorsed us to go forward, because as we know, South Africa lacks a lot of doctors, and our ratio of patient to doctor in the various health institutions is not the desirable one. And then this is why we've found ourselves training doctors in various programs, such as the Cuban program that many people know about. So to have a medical school established at this time is very, very crucial, exceptionally important to increase the numbers of doctors in the country. But I mean, importantly is how the medical school has been positioned, the Nelson Mandela University Medical School, in that it is primary healthcare oriented. And we know that there's a great need of primary healthcare in the country. And so if we train this cadre of student who is able to deal with the primary healthcare problems and focusing on preventative medicine, and of course, they will always be that arm of interventional medicine. But if we focus on preventive medicine, we hopefully will be able to curb the burden of disease.
Yeah.
And of course, this is the time when we are faced with the COVID pandemic, and to have this early Christmas gift for the South African community, and certainly for institutions of higher learning, to have this early Christmas gift to open up another medical school to train more doctors is a good thing. Yes, the result is going to be in 6 years' time from today.
Yeah.
But it is appropriate when we're having the pandemic, because it is once again a response as displayed by the three regulatory authorities that I spoke about earlier on.
Right.
That we need this. So it's really very important that we got this accreditation.
It's an early Christmas present, but also a parting present, would you say, for Professor Lungile Pepeta?
Yes, and it is. There's actually a very interesting one as well here, because when we got the first accreditation letter, it was a birthday present to our late Professor Lungile Pepeta, who has touched so many lives, not only in the institution and not only in the Nelson Mandela Bay area, but also in the province and the country at large, and certainly the world. So it is fitting indeed that what he worked for together with the team, that on this day, on the eve of 2021, that we're able to get this. And of course, colleagues, when we received all the news, have been expressing the sadness that he is not here to see this. But the amount of effort that he put in, I'm sure he knew in his mind and in his heart that we would be at this stage right now.
What is the level of collaboration with other institutions as you are outlining this particular process of how you get to the accreditation?
Well, we have been very fortunate in a way to be supported by all the medical schools that we've knocked at their doors, asking even before the very first visit by the Health Professions Council to even conceptualize the medical school. So we've had this support, and when we developed our curriculum, we've also had the support from all the various medical schools that are in the country. But I think what is more important as well is there is a medical school in the Eastern Cape province, and this is the Walter Sisulu University Medical School. And this is a medical school that we clearly are going to be sharing spaces in terms of learning spaces and practical spaces. And we have this relationship that has developed, and it's growing stronger and stronger as we move forward. And we will appreciate that institutions of higher learning survive best when there's collaborations that are going on.
Yeah.
And I could name all the medical schools that have really played different roles at different levels, and the medical schools in all provinces in the country.
Right.
So it is important indeed that we need to have this collaboration, but it's a natural thing in medical schools that we collaborate.
Talk to us about two things. First, when is first enrollment? And secondly, you're going to take a very unique teaching model at this medical school. Just expand on that a little bit.
Yeah. So our first enrollment is next year. We are looking at opening the applications on the first week of January. And the applications, and because everything has had to happen in limited time, and we'll appreciate the impact the COVID-19 pandemic had in terms of things being delayed. But we'll certainly, our first cohort of students will be starting in March. The classes were starting in March 2021, but the online applications are opening up in January. Now, when it comes to can you just remind me of the second question?
The teaching
again,
model. You said you're taking it in the teaching model.
So I think firstly it's the ethos. The ethos we have is community oriented, and but also we appreciate that we're living in the 21st century, and there are certain issues that come up with a medical school. A medical school has to have, for example, things like dissection halls. And so, but because of the issues about human rights and issues of legislation with dealing with human tissue, we took the model of having technology enhanced learning. So we are using, for example, there is a product where it's a virtual human body, and this is a technologically enhanced learning kind of model where the students are able to dissect on that virtual table to actually, and to go as far as even looking at the microscopy level of the body. So that's one aspect. And then there's the curveball that has been thrown by the COVID-19, where we need to be able to do distance learning, as it were. And so we are focused on having our students to be able to have electronic equipment where they can even have electronic textbooks, and they will be able to access various videos, because as you know, in the medical school training, there's a lot of practicum that happens, right. And to learn to do procedures, to learn to handle patients and families and stuff, right. And all this, we've managed to bring it into our technology enhanced learning. And the third aspect as well is that we introduce our students to the communities from the first year level. Okay. And so they begin to appreciate the communities that post the 6 years of training that they'll be able to serve.
Prof, I appreciate your time, and thank you very much for joining us tonight. Professor Fikile Nomvete, Director of the Medical Program at Nelson Mandela University, outlining, of course, the new medical school that has now got its accreditation.